From the 80s until around 2010, it was common for every successful cartoon, movie, TV series, or comic to have a tie-in or licensed game. Most of them were bad, just shovelware in the console's library, something to grandma buy to her grandkids, since she didn't know anything about games and just picked something with a recognizable name. In other words, little Timmy wants GTA San Andreas, but end up with Shark Tale. However, there were also licensed games that were good, and some even became more famous than the original work, like GoldenEye 007 and The Warriors. These two still based on Hollywood movies, 007 being a globally famous brand. In this video, we will talk about games where the original work was overshadowed by its adaptation, to the point that people don't even realize these games are licensed. Some of these I only discovered while researching for this video. Seriously. Metro 2033 released in 2010 for Xbox 360, PC and later on modern platforms as Metro 23 Redux. Is the first game in the series. It's an FPS set in a post-apocalyptic world taking place in Moscow metro tunnels, where survivors hide after a nuclear war wiped out most of humanity and created various mutants. The game is based on the book of the same name by Dmitry Glukhovsky, published in 2005, which had two sequels, Metro 2034 and Metro 2035. However, the game's sequels didn't continue adapted books. Instead, Metro Last Light and Metro Exodus took their own direction. It's well known that the Witcher series is based on a series of books, which became even more popular thanks to the CD Projekt Red games, leading to a Netflix adaptation. But did you know that Cyberpunk 2077 is based on a tabletop RPG? Cyberpunk 2020 is an RPG written by Mike Pondsmith and released in 1988. Set in Night City, a fictional metropolis after an economic collapse in the 90s, following a period of martial law. Various mega corporations take control of the US political and economic system, all alongside rapid technological evolution. It's a typical cyberpunk setting, heavily influenced by Blade Runner. I only discovered that this franchise came from the comics while making this video. I've always thought that was an original LucasArts property like Monkey Island, but no! Sam and Max were created by Steve Purcell for the comic Monkeys Violating the Heavenly Temple in 1987. These characters are so closely associated with video games that if you search for Sam and Max on Google Images, most results will be from the games. This likely happened because their creator, Steve Purcell, was not just a cartoonist, but also worked at LucasArts on games like the first two Monkey Island titles, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the graphic adventure. Later, he had the development of Sam and Max Hit the Road, the first game in the series. As I mentioned in my video, What If Video Game exists since the beginning of the 20th century? Go check it out. Turok started as a comic book franchise in the 50s. However, it only gained the worldwide fame with the FPS trilogy released for the Nintendo 64, published by Acclaim. Turok was initially published by Dell Comics under the title Turok Son of Stone. Later, the rights moved to Valiant Comics, which published 53 issues until the company was acquired by Acclaim, a video game developer and publisher that had a large catalog of licensed games. Acclaim developed games based on violent IPs such as Shadow Man, Iron Man, and Exo-Man War and Heavy Metal, and Turok Dinosaur Hunter. The Turok game was so successful that it spawned two sequels, Turok 2 and Turok 3. However, the franchise never regained its former glory, despite releasing Turok Evolution in 2002 and a reboot in 2008. During this time, many things happened, such as a clan bankruptcy and changes in the gaming industry, leaving Turok as a relic of the past. However, a new entry in the series was announced in 2024, Turok Origins. Parasite Eve is an RPG and survival horror franchise developed and published by Squaresoft, now Square Enix, for the original PlayStation. Most likely it was created to compete with Resident Evil. The first game, released in 1998, is actually a sequel to a novel of the same name by Hideaki Sena, featuring horror and science fiction themes, just like the game. The book was so successful that it received a film and manga adaptation before the game even launched. The two PlayStation games continue the story but focus on a different protagonist, Aya Brea. The 1998 game also received a manga adaptation by Noriko Fujiko, the same artist who adapted the novel. In other words, Parasite Eve is a multimedia franchise with a book, mangas, games, and a movie. However, since most of these never became popular outside Japan, Parasite Eve is mostly remembered for its games. Ever wondered who is Tom Clancy, present in the title of so many Ubisoft games? Well, Tom Clancy was a historian and writer whose books became so popular that they were adapted into Hollywood films, especially those featuring the characters Jack Ryan and John Clark, such as The Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and The Sum of All Fears. In 1996, Clancy founded the developer Red Star Entertainment, which adapted many of his works into games. Eventually, the company was acquired by Ubisoft, which continued using the Tom Clancy name. In 1998, Clancy published the novel Rainbow Six, along with the tie-in game Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. The book focuses on John Clark and Rainbow, a counter-terrorism organization led by him. Afterward, Ubisoft used Tom Clancy's names for various games unrelated to his books, such as Splinter Cell, The Division, Ghost Recon, and Hawks. In 2008, Ubisoft acquired perpetual rights to use Tom Clancy's name and works in video games. I thought that The Wolf Among Us was the only original franchise from the now defunct Telltale games, which usually made games based on third-party properties. But no, The Wolf Among Us is a prequel to the Fables comic book series by Bill Willingham, published by DC Comics under the Vertigo imprint, later part of the DC Black Label. Fables features various characters from the fairy tales, folklore, and classic literature, including Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, Prince Charming, Cinderella, Rapunzel, and the Big Bad Wolf, or Big Wolf, the protagonist of The Wolf Among Us. The game's story even received a comic book adaptation written by Lila Sturgis, who had previously worked on Fables. Well, that's it. we have reached the end of the video. Which of these games did you know that weren't original works? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and hit the like button.